Hello, we are the Fife sisters, and we've just started our channel, and we're calling it the Fife Sisters. I am Diana.
I'm Joanne.
And I'm Bonnie.
We have two brothers too who are just out of camera range, hundreds of miles away in the case of one. And we're going to talk about our beloved brothers for just a minute. Our brother Brad and our brother Randy are the last two born in the family, and they were born less than a year apart, and they're almost like twins. And Brad saw years ago us put a wedding cake together from layers to frosted in an hour and a half in a kitchen under a great deal of stress. He saw us accomplish this beautiful cake, and what he loved more than the cake was listening to how we cooperated in the kitchen to pull that off. It was a miracle that this beautiful cake appeared in an hour and a half. And the plan had been, the ideal was that we'd have all afternoon to put the cake together after the wedding, and then the reception was the evening. But of course it got way too busy, and we ended up with an hour and a half to put this cake together. Now it had been partially readied. We baked the cakes in the wedding pans, cooled them on parchment-covered baking racks. After they were completely cooled, we put them back with the parchment stuck on top, back into each pan and covered it with foil. Then we took that hundreds of miles to the wedding site. The next thing that was prepared is we had cake stands custom made by going to, at the time, Tap Plastic would cut acrylic sheets to order, so we had 3 acrylic circles, and then I bought the supplies to make holes in each cake and rods, and then Bonnie's husband Chuck cut the rods to size and installed the holders to put the rods in so there were like 2 little acrylic tables and a cake plate by the time we got all through. Chuck even made the ends of the table like pencils so that they could be pushed right into the cake.
And the rods. Yeah.
Being amateurs, we didn't want to take any chances, so that table was ready to stick right through the cake. The other preparation is the frosting we used as a commercial product called Pastry Pride.
You know, Pastry Pride, it's stabilized, and it's as you whip it up, it is much denser, so it holds things. It's almost like a glue, and it tastes like whipped cream. So I don't know really what's in it, but it's great to work with, and it tastes really good. You can get it in vanilla and chocolate, and we've used both for different things.
I didn't know it came in chocolate.
Yeah.
I've never seen it.
Didn't you know? Yes.
Well, the other thing that we did in advance was we had learned how to make these chocolate curls. Bonnie's going to talk about what she observed the day before the wedding in the manufacture with cousins of the chocolate curls.
So my daughter and a couple of her cousins, we put them right to work, and what you do is you take tempered melted white chocolate and you put it on a cold slab or a cold tile, something that's very cold, and you pour it on, and then you take a dough cutter and you scrape it along very slowly as it'll roll up. And they did probably several hundred, I think, of those chocolate curls.
Extra.
Yeah, and then they are placed into the cake one at a time.
When I did it, you had to be just the angle that the
Yes,
dough cutter
that's right. You had to
makes
get-
you don't want waves. You need
You had to
get
practice
started.
a little bit.
Yeah, get
but
started, and then
they,
you go.
They were able to get it all
Yeah,
done.
they did a great job.
So those curls were placed on a parchment-lined cookie sheet and taken to the site very carefully because they can melt very easily, and it was summer. So those arrived, and the other thing we bought was strawberries because it was a plain vanilla cake and plain white chocolate and the whipped cream.
Use the sauce.
So we arrived at the site for the wedding reception armed with the pre-baked cake, cartons of pastry pride, cartons of strawberries with our favorite strawberry picker, and an egg slicer to slice all those berries, and then the chocolate. So, and the cake plates. So we had all of the equipment and 1.5 hours to put it together. It wasn't nearly enough time. So as I recall, what we did is there was an island in a kitchen we'd never been in, and we positioned the cake in the center of the island so it could be worked on on three sides. Then I think our sister-in-law, Krista, washed all the strawberries and hulled them, and Suzanne sliced all the strawberries, and then they put that strawberry sauce together while someone else was whipping the pastry pride, and the pastry pride takes extra long time to whip it to get it really firm. So these women were positioned to put the chocolate curls on as soon as Joanne came along and spread all the frosting. She was the most experienced at doing it. So you spread it pretty thickly, and each level was a 2-layer cake. So we had to spread pastry pie between them and on top and the sides, which Joanne quickly did. And as soon as she did, we didn't have the table stacked yet. So as soon as she did the lower, it would have been nice if we'd had a lazy Susan, but we were improvising. Then all of those chocolate curls were installed while she was frosting the next level, and then we're ready to stack that thing together. And then Krista arranged the flowers, and we took it all out to this beautiful backyard that had avocado trees in the back, and you can see the pool. It was just a lovely setting. Exactly on time before the first guests arrived, that cake was ready. Well, it took us a little time to calm down until it was suddenly time to serve, and we hadn't even planned on anyone to serve the cake. So we ran out with cutting equipment, and I didn't even look up. I was cutting, and one of us was scooping, and one of them was holding the plates and handing them to guests. There was a long line. A lot of people wanted to try that cake, so there was a line clear around the pool waiting. And by the time we served the last person, how much was left of that cake?
Very little.
Do you remember?
No.
It was.
None.
We didn't even have any.
Yeah.
The whole
No,
thing
it
was gone.
Yeah.
So it was a big hit with quite a bit of advanced preparation, but the whole thing was assembled in an hour and a half.
And it was like as soon as we started slicing, that line went. It wasn't like people, normally they just kind of get a cake. But no, everybody's going to get a piece of that cake. And I do remember the worst part for me is as we started assembling the cake, people came from everywhere to watch us.
Yes.
It's uncomfortable.
It would have been nice to be in a back room and
be
just
by
have
ourselves somewhere.
Before the last few pieces were served, it was getting dark. Because there was not a
Good
lot
thing,
left
because
out
those
there.
slices were looking sloppier and sloppier, and we weren't sure whether we'd have enough strawberry sauce for everything, so it was kind of nerve-wracking. I wouldn't want to duplicate the experience, but now looking back, it was a fun thing to do.
It was fun when it was done. especially.
Yes.
But
yes.
really, it had to taste good because it had a good cake and great tasting whipped cream and good chocolate. What could you, in the sauce on it, there was everything that was good.
That is he's been begging us ever since to start a channel, so that's why we began. Why we're actually to the point of filming is we decided between all 5 of the Fife children, there are 96 descendants, not counting us 5 or our children. We have 96 grandchildren and great-grandchildren. And we want to leave a record of homemaking skills that we have acquired along the way.